Okay. All right, folks. So this today's topic is very elementary. CS student will find it little, something that they know, but for other student, I think it will be interesting because I'm trying to present the topic on internet from very abstract level, very high level. Okay, and then next lecture will go into little more detail, and I think this topic is very relevant because digital transformation or digitization or even Moore's law has no meaning if internet won't have come into play. Okay, and we'll see the reasons why internet is so central to our life, so central to any business today. Okay, however, this talk is largely on what the internet is all about, right? Just a minute, my machine. Okay, give me a minute. I think sharing screen is. Oh, all right. Give me a minute. I think there is some problem in my. Okay, can you see the screen? The main. Just a minute. Okay. Okay, can you see the screen now? Oh,
Yes.
it's pausing actually.
Yes.
You can see scrolling now.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
Only the front page.
Okay. There is some issue. Just a minute. Okay, can you see the scrolling now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in case there is any my screen freezes or some issue, then let me know. Okay, folks. So let's start. And Ashish, please help me in case you have some points. All right. So basically, I'm trying to emphasize the importance of internet and how it has changed the lives, especially my life and Ashish's life and your parents' lives. And you possibly you were just born then. Maybe you are less than 25 years old. So possibly you would have also seen this, right? I'm not sure you would have seen this going to STD booth for making a phone call, right? I used to go very often because I couldn't afford telephone uh, till year 2000. Okay, before that I have to even to make a phone call to my parents. I have to really go to STD booth in the night 10 o'clock because rates were half. And not only that, making a few phone calls abroad means that your half month salary is gone. Okay, so this is not very old scenario, just 25 years back. And this was still, I think, year 2003, 2004, when computerization started. And first computerization happened where of railway reservation system, wherein you will have to go, and then there was computer with the people, right? On the booking office there were computers, so it is increase the speed. And I have seen lives where actually we have to go to railway station to make a reservation and stand in line for hours. And then there is a page register, or really book kind, and then reservations were done. So that was the age when things have really started. And then computerization happened. Now everything is available online. So I think that I would have spent more than 200 hours standing in the queues uh, at various times in my life. uh, and not only that, Bijli ka bill was another headache. You'll have to really go to Bijli office or electricity office, and then pay bill. And it was otherwise, they will cut the connection and then send telephone line and all that, right? So, and then in early, just 20 years back, 25 years back, I mean, when I finished my MTech, uh, I had only three choices. First choice was join CDOT, and second was join TCS, and third was join PhD. So I choose the PhD, while my friend Ashish has joined, you know, Wipro, I guess. There are just few companies to name, and then you have to take up job or not, right? And these companies were actually doing most of the work on the premises, and once the work is over, they used to send the work to parent company or the clients over satellite communication, right? And the communication or connectivity was only through satellites, and these protocols were kind of proprietary protocols for communication, like SDH or some kind of layer 2 technology running over satellite. Okay, and connectivity was very limited. In order to send 10 Mbps file, it will take hours. And then knowledge resources were also limited, right? It's something on demand, right? That we do that. If today, if I want all IEEE journals published in last 50 years, it won't take more than say half an hour for me to get an access to IEEE and get all that I want. Okay, or just search on certain topics and all the information is available, right? So struggle we had to struggle to go to library, and journals are available only then we would find out and read. And journals were of course available 6 months late in time, right? So, and all that is changed now, right? And then of course, I mean, this scene you would have, I'm sure, experienced when you were child. Only thing that available was TV, Doordarshan, and few other channels, and then you would sit and watch programs, right? There's nothing like on demand things. And then music, etc., you have to buy cassettes and video cassettes and then play. That's all, right? Nothing more than that. And then communication on phone was very expensive. Then we used to write letters of all kind. Okay, I mean, like possibly some of these you may not even know. For example, this is called postcard, this is called inland letter, and there was also some other formats in which we used to write letters and send it to relatives and friends. So without internet, life significant of life has gone in queues. Standing in queues and wasting time, very low productivity. I mean, bank. I have forgotten to write here about bank. I mean, bank queues where just to get your salary or deposit money or take money out of bank used to take half an hour to 1 hour time. The queues were really long. Okay, and personal communication, if you have to do it over plain old telephones like PSTN phones. Possibly you would have seen that, or telegrams or letters. Okay, no online money concept, limited availability of knowledge sources, and all this, right? Okay, so what happened in terms of telecom technologies, right? Because I'm right now giving you some glimpse of what happened just 25 years back and how the world has changed in last 25 years. All of a sudden, and country like us, which was totally isolated from world in some sense, because knowledge resources were not available, and most of the knowledge generation in last 50 years happened not in India but outside, especially in technology area. And we were really knowledge starved, and the world has changed since then. See, look at the technology, even telecom technologies or communication technologies, just 25, 30 years back were all isolated. When we say isolated, it was truly isolated. For example, the something that you see here is telephone network, or which we call a PSTN network. And PSTN network was only connected to PSTN network, other PSTN networks. Okay, so if you have to make a phone call to somebody in US, then there is a possibility that not always there is a possibility you could reach to that person if there is no connection between two service providers. But most of the service providers are connected some way or other, but number of users that were using these things were limited, and endpoints were fixed. There was only one point, that's coming from exchange to your home, and then all members of the phone used to share that phone. And what was the use of this phone? use was just to make a phone call. Your voice communication, just we can say is a voice communication, nothing else. Okay. And then came, satellite microwave communication that was meant only for communication between two ends. If I have a company here, A and company B, I could connect them over wireless link if they are not very far apart. Or if they are very far apart, I could communicate among two companies using satellite dish. Okay, and then came ISDN network, which is kind of fixed data communication network with very limited capabilities. Okay, and then came SDH or PDH called T1 even lines, and then of course came token ring, Ethernet token ring local area network, where if one machine has to communicate to other machine, it has to grab a token. It means that it has chance now to transmit, and then will send it, which all other stations will listen, but this guy will actually interpret it. Okay, and then came this mobile network, early 90s, GSM became popular, and this was only meant for voice communication and very little data communication. So all I am trying to say is that in last 200 years or so, communication technologies have improved, but there were large number of independent technologies and there was no interplay. For example, television was first, about 40 years back, was only through wireless medium, right? It used to, there was within a city there is a TV tower and it will broadcast things, and everyone will have antenna on top of home and then will receive signals. Okay, so the purpose of that technology was only for video communication or TV channel communication to users, and number of channels were just limited. In fact, Doordarshan had antenna and they could transmit only one channel. Okay, so that, however, if you look at it, that basic communication, it means the basic technology was meant only for one communication. So technology was designed, operated, maintained for one type of communication. Okay, cellular communication was just meant for voice communication. The data communication here was just meant for one data communication within a hall or within an office between two entities, and so on, right? And we had large number of technologies developed in last 50 years. Say for example, you can at least know some of these, like PSTN is plain old telephone system. We'll discuss in brief about this technology, because only then we can appreciate what internet is. Then we had something called frame relay, then we have T1 even lines. These are all data communication technology. ISDN is also data communication technology. X.25 is a protocol. It's another datacom technology. SONET is another datacom technology which is still in use. Then we had GSM, GPRS on cellular communication. Okay, we had token ring, microwave communication, token bus, and then very popular AM and FM communication, which is still happening. Okay, like your whatever radio channels you have, and you can receive the signals on air and listen to music or whatever. All right, so all of these communication technologies grew independently, not connecting with each other. Okay, uh, and these were designed around that application. There was just one application for each, like AM FM has just one application, which is music or sound communication. Similarly, we have frame relay, for example, is only for data communication. All right, so all this technology grew, and perfect example is a PSTN. This network is extremely complex. Say the technology is beautifully designed, it's very, very complex, but very rigid. When we say rigid, it means what? It's meant only for 4 kilohertz voice communication. That's it. You can't do anything, but it's extremely intelligent inside. All you have a small box, and you dial, and other person on other end receives it. Okay, it's extremely simple, well designed, extremely reliable. Nobody can hack it. Nobody could hack it, right? And but meant only for voice, that too 4 kilohertz. Okay, and it worked for almost half century, because when people never realize that there can be any other use of communication apart from voice communication. Okay, so it's extremely complex, by the way. So there's a lot of intelligence inside network, this intelligent network, but and box are just dumb boxes. I mean, any your great grandfather could also use it, means that must be really, really simple. Okay, and then came internet. See, when all these communication technologies were happening in parallel and not interconnection, then there was a need felt by some companies, some universities and research institutes in US to come out with technology that will interconnect them. So remember, the internet is an interconnection technology. It glues all these different technologies that are available. Internet by itself, when you say can I send IP packets, which is internet packets, on a wire, then answer is no. It requires some carrier. So, and carrier existed. Now what people have done is just mapped IP over those technologies. Now if I can send packet from one end to another end, okay, and in between this packet can be sent over different technologies, it's absolutely fine. This is how internet works. So basically if you have something like your laptop, you can connect it over to ethernet, and then it goes to, once it goes to internet, you can come out at any point place, right? For example, from here you can in fact come out to PSTN network, and then from that you can come to other end. So you in fact from your laptop you can do voice communication or phone call, regular phone call, PSTN kind of phone call, and it can be received by PSTN phone call. Okay, in between all it becomes IP packet and goes over internet and comes out and gets converted back to voice packet. And then so basically over PSTN you could connect internet, because now PSTN becomes carrier for internet packets. Similarly, you have cable network, right? Like your TV cable network, like we have in India, Tata and Airtel and so on, this which provide your TV communication or video communication, video channel communication, right? So now over that also, all those cables you can get internet. Okay, so internet just glues different thing together, different technologies together. Now in fact you will be surprised that most of the communication, even on PSTN or even cellular communication or mobile communication, happens over internet, which is not visible to us. If you dial a number, most of your communication is happening at the back end over internet, which is not visible. Okay, so internet is one that glues different kind of networks. It's an interconnect technology. So you have your cellular network, your mobile phones, they are connected to a base station, and base station in turn is connected to all other kinds of network over internet, right? For example, you can connect to say data center or cloud network. Okay, you can also connect to the office, your office, your company where you will work, or somebody works, right? From mobile phone you can connect over internet to the company's office. Okay, and so on. Excuse me. All right, so now I can use any of the technologies that were developed in the past and run internet over it. Okay, so what does internet provide? It provides connectivity to various kind of networks. It's actually interconnect technology. Now in order to communicate between two ends, we need a unique address. Okay, if there is no address to the endpoints, then communications are not possible, right? For example, when you write a letter, you write the destination address, right? Similarly, in IP internet world, there is a concept of address. Okay, unique address, which you can IP address. Okay, and then you have to send information. Now IP internet uses packets. Like, packet you create to send something to somebody else, right? So same packet is created by IP, and it has destination address, and then here is information. It's like you send a book or something to a friend and you put in an envelope or a packet and write the destination, your friend's address, and then give it to courier company. Exactly same concept you use in internet. Okay, IP packets are just given destination address, and then you give it to network, and these intermittent nodes looks at destination address and keep sending packet forward, right? And that's called routing. Now, interesting thing is that it can carry anything. Okay, it can carry anything that can be represented by zeros and ones. Okay, so it means that you can send data, voice, video, etc. It means that once we have created this internet, where we can send IP packet, and IP can in turn go over whatever technologies that are available, but at the end it comes out as an IP packet, and then IP packet can carry any information. It can carry voice, it can carry video, it can carry whatever, right? At the other end, you just reassemble it, and then you have that thing available. Okay, is it clear? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, please feel free to ask question, because uh, internet concept is will come into play anything that you do in future, right? So it's best that you understand the concepts well, and what we are trying to do today is to give you concept. In next class onwards we look at some protocols so that you have.
Hey, can I interject here and say just one more point
Yeah,
that I would like to
sure.
over and above what you said. See, one of the major differences that has happened in the evolution of the internet and why it has become so prevalent now, as Ravi gave examples of the time when you had to line up in front of PCO booth, etc. See, the earlier nobody could visualize anything beyond voice, that a communication link was only used for voice. So the telecom network or PSTN, etc., were designed only to carry voice, and somehow they had to be tweaked or modified to carry data, which is why we had very low speed, because those networks were not designed for data. Now, today, when we are in the digital age, today, the scenario is completely different. Most networks are designed for data. You look at 4G, you look at 5G, and some are also made to carry voice. So data has become predominant as opposed to voice, whereas earlier voice was predominant and data was a superimposition.
Right.
That's the point I want to say.
Right, very good, thanks Ashish. Okay, so now let's look at its main characteristics that makes it extremely powerful. First thing is extremely flexible. When I say internet is flexible, it means that it can work under any condition. Okay, PSTN network on the other hand, if 4 kilohertz channel is not available all throughout, it means all switches underneath cannot create a circuit, then it won't work. Internet can work when the link speed is just say 1 kilobit per second, or in fact less than 100 bits per second, 100 bytes per second, or even lesser than that. As long as there is a communication, it can work. And on the other hand, it can carry terabyte kind of bandwidth, right? So there can be links which can be terabyte in bandwidth, and even then internet can work. So it's extremely flexible, can be very low. Bandwidth can be very low or very high. Okay. Second is extremely fault tolerant. When I say fault tolerant, it means that there is a network, okay, of communicating nodes, right? Which we see, sometimes we don't see. Okay, and it could be very complex, because whole world is connected through it, right? And when you are sending a packet, for example, internet packet, and let's assume that it's going to this place through this path, and suppose this link becomes faulty. Okay, and this link also becomes faulty, then the packets can be rerouted through some other node, as long as there is a path, and the whole network will readjust itself to create paths towards destination. Paths, of course, may be a little longer or whatever, but paths will be there. So it means that whenever, even if something goes wrong in between, whether there is a link becomes faulty, or node becomes faulty, or node becomes congested, packets are automatically rerouted. Okay, so there's a very fast recovery from faults. A third important thing is that, which Ashish has mentioned and I also mentioned, is that earlier networks were designed around one technology, which is largely voice communication. And of course, there data communication like X.25 and so on and so forth, right? But there was huge amount of intelligence in between. Okay, now internet provides a flat pipe. It means that it has absolutely no built-in intelligence. Its whole purpose is to create a pipe, end-to-end pipe, like your hose pipe. You put a water at one end, and other end will only be water in the same speed, right? So its main purpose of internet, you visualize internet as a pipe, and its main purpose is transport bits. So you just keep sending packet on one end, other end packets will continue to come out. That's it, is its purpose. So absolutely no intel. Whereas in PSTN network, telephone network, huge amount of intelligence inside. And now this size of this pipe, as I mentioned in the first point, can also grow. You can have bigger pipe or a smaller pipe. You can have flexible pipe, because even if there is a leak somewhere, and then it can fix it and do rerouting. So it's called end-to-end principle, where between two ends of a internet connection, it just provides a simple pipe. That's it. And all other activities are done at the end. Okay. Now its purpose is to simply transport bits. And bits can code anything. Then you can run any kind of application on it. Nobody stops you from creating a new application and use internet. So at the end, you have millions of applications that can be supported because internet just provides simple pipe. Had it been designed for voice communication or only narrow data communication or only video communication, you won't have been able to do any other transactions or any other application, because each application has different characteristics. Okay, so basically that is a pipe analogy, wherein it just transports bits from one end and the bits comes out other end. And these pipes can be of different sizes as you want, right? You can get bigger pipe, smaller pipe, and size of the pipe may also shrink in between, but it remains connected, right? So you always visualize internet as a pipe connection because it's only end-to-end technology. Okay, now you may say that it carries bits, which is important for us. It may carry my data, but it can carry also virus. Of course it can carry virus. Is whose responsibility is to protect from virus? Internet principle, end-to-end principle say it is responsibility of you or end nodes to protect oneself, because what internet says, I am providing you plain simple pipe which can transport bits at very fast speed if you want, and extremely high reliability. Okay, and it will always continue to work. So pipes can carry anything as long as it's a fluid, that's zeros and ones at any speed. If you put data at very high speed, it will come at very high speed. It means that speed in internet is nothing but bandwidth. Okay, end-to-end machine has IP addresses that supports IP protocol suite. So there is only one protocol suite, of course, which is called TCP/IP, which we will look at later. And there are a good number of supporting protocols. Wherein, if you look at GSM, this manual itself is more than 500 pages. Where TCP/IP whole internet description may not be more than say 100 pages or even less than that. Okay, it's extremely simple technology, and that's the reason it's very powerful. Intelligence is only at the end nodes, because at the end, once bits comes out, zeros and one comes out, and based on zeros and one, you can find out what it is. I mean, say for example, you are sending a voice, then on that, when it comes out, it has to be interpreted like a voice. If it's a picture, a video, then it has to be interpreted like a video. Okay, so that's the beauty, right? So intelligence now of creating right bit stream and interpreting on the other hand, this bit stream lies at the end nodes. Okay, it means that now any application can be designed. Okay, all right, so this is the protocol suite. Now it may look very complicated, so don't worry much about it. So all over the network, except this is the last endpoints. And in between can be various nodes like this one node, this another node. We have only IP that runs. And IP internet, it means that we are sending internet packets. We are not worrying. So in between the network, accepting the end nodes, we are not worried about reliability. Now we may, if we want reliable packet stream, bit stream, then run TCP. If you don't need it, then there is another protocol, UDP. We can run UDP. Okay, so depending on what you need at the end, you can run protocols, and all in between, all these nodes in between will just route the packet which you have sent, looking at the destination address. So always they will look at IP address, and then suppose I am sending a packet here. My packet goes to Ethernet. It's received by some other node on Ethernet. It will look at my IP packet and will decide. Say there are multiple routes, it will decide and says that okay, it will go to next packet here, next link here, and so on. So in this way, the packet reaches to the end. I can give you an analogy. If you're sending a book, for example, you put it in a packet, write your friend's address, okay, and then you give it to a transport company. A transport company whether sends it over, what transport company will do, they will put your book into another envelope and write the address. Say for example, in Bangalore, and I'm sending it to Delhi, it will write address of local transport company in Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, when it's received, so that forms one link for network, and that end of that link, the it's taken out, the packet is taken out. They will look at is for destination is Delhi. They'll put it in another envelope, send it to Agra. In Agra again, it will look up and send it to Delhi, right? Same thing happens in internet. IP packet. IP packet goes inside a link technology packet. It could be Ethernet, it could be SDN, it could be some satellite communication link. And at the end of that link is taken out, and again we will look at the address and then again pack it back according to the technology on which we are sending, right? So your packet book can travel over railway, truck or railways or airlines. It doesn't matter to end user as long as it reaches. Same thing as happens for internet. So this is a layered architecture, and then we have physical layer, data link layer, network layer. Okay, network layer does what? Okay, can you please, I will mute all. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So network's layer responsibility is to transport packet, IP packet from one node to another node. Okay, as we discussed in earlier diagram, this diagram, this forms IP network layer where net packet is taken out, destination address looked at, and then decision is taken where to send it. Now here decision is simple because only one path. There can be multiple paths, right? So where to send it to, that decision is taken. And at the end, now end intelligence, whether packet needs to be, the application cannot afford losing a packet. For example, when transferring a file, and file has to be received at the other end. Then absolutely in the same way, right? Then we will run TCP, wherein in case there is a missing packet or missing bits, then packet can be retransmitted. Now there are applications that don't need reliability. For example, when you are watching a cricket match, okay, and what is more important is that even if one frame is lost, it doesn't matter, right? But I cannot afford delay, because if there is a delay, then my screen will freeze for a few milliseconds, and then I don't like it. So many applications don't need reliability; they need continuous transmission. So depending on what I want, I can run different kind of protocols. I can run TCP or I can use UDP. These are, and of course there is another few protocols, right? So my application on top, if I am running, see if I'm running, if I'm watching a match, then I don't need TCP kind of connection. I can manage with UDP because packetlets are okay for me. But when I doing file transmit or some other running other application, then I may want communication. So application can choose what kind of transport protocol it wants. All right. Okay, any question up to this point? Is it becoming clear?
Yes, sir. All right.
Okay. Okay, role of IP protocol or IP network is to route IP packets using routers. So IP protocol does not provide reliability or security, and it's a responsibility of end host. So this concept should be clear that basic IP protocol internet does not provide reliability, and at the end there are some protocols that can provide you reliability, and also for security we have some protocols. Okay, all right. So if you want reliability, then we can get it only at this end, this layer, right? End to end, in between, nothing will packets will not be looked at. Nothing will happen except routing. Okay, so it's essentially is a pipe. Okay, so we have three protocols: the TCP, UDP, and SCTP. SCTP is not so popular, so many people may not even know. TCP, if you send zeros and ones, some stream of zeros and ones at one end, and then it will come out at other end exactly same way. Okay, it's a bit stream, reliable communication, which are converted into packets and sent to other end. If there's a packet loss, then retransmission happens. But UDP will simply send packets. UDP sends packets, and packets may be lost, and nobody cares about it. UDP's responsibility is just to send packets. That's it. Okay. Of course, there are some other things that it does is it also provides some port addressing, etc. And SCTP is actually a protocol which will provide reliable packet delivery, wherein TCP provides reliable stream delivery, a stream of data, wherein SCTP will send, if you send 1, 2, 3, 4 packets, they will exactly appear in the same order at the other end. Okay, and in case something is lost, suppose 2 is lost in between, it will retransmit 2, so other end it will receive packet 2 as well. Okay, so now this gives you a view how packet communication happens, right? So essentially what we have here is routers. Now these routers learn by themselves the routes. Okay, this absolutely distributed algorithm that runs here, and these algorithms are ISIS or BGP, okay, OSPF. These are the different protocols that runs between these routers, and they will have a routing table. They will know where to send. Suppose there is a packet with destination address comes, all of them will have same understanding what route should be followed. Okay, and in order to do that, they keep exchanging information among each other. Okay, right? So it means that this distributed network, protocol, which is OSPF or BGP, keeps running on these networks. And this is peer-to-peer protocol. It means that there is no central entity which forces onto that. And then these routers, after some time have common understanding. Okay. Now, this is a very powerful mechanism, but at the same time, it's a vulnerable, in the sense that some Chinese hacker, change the protocols, because nobody is supposed to change the protocol. They change the protocol such that all traffic of the world started passing through Chinese routers, right? So it also happened in the past, but this system works beautifully. All right, so these are the routers, and these are endpoints, and the endpoints will generate IP packet, and that packet will go over to other end. So it's something like this. The IP packet is created which will have destination address. It will go to other end, right? At each point when it reaches, it will look at destination address, and then will decide where to send, whether send here or this one. So they decide that it will come here. This will also look at the destination address and send it in this direction. Okay, all right. This is another view that in order to do what we have discussed here, each node will have a routing table which will decide incoming from where it is coming. It will look at the destination address and then send that packet. So it will have a table something like this. It will look at the destination address and which link it has to send it to. All right. So this is very simple. And this is what IP packet looks like. I don't want to go here in detail. So one important parameter here is part here is source address, who is sending and where it is sending. This is most important because without it, it cannot reach to destination. And then this is data, that what it will carry like. Okay. All right. So there are different fields. So you may not want to learn that, but if you're interested, you can go through this in detail. And now once we have created this system, okay, which is nothing but a pipe. Okay. And the size of this also keeps changing. The pipe can be smaller if there is less capability, or it could be larger if it is a bigger, more capacity is available. And then this pipe is created over various things. It can be created, this pipe can be created over a fiber optical cable. It can be created over, part of this could be fiber optical, this part could be fiber optical. It means the bits will carried over fiber optical. Part of this could be wireless, say Wi-Fi for example, or part of this could also be Ethernet. It doesn't matter, but that's not visible to anybody as long as it's a pipe. It's like, you know, joining various pipes, right? I mean, there's one pipe and then you're joining second pipe of different kind. This could be made of, say, rubber, this could be made of plastic, this could be made of something else. It doesn't matter. You know, ultimately what you are going to get is pipe. So internet provides you pipe. In order to create pipe, there are various technologies underneath, because pipe passes over various technologies. The pipes created various technologies. That's it. Okay. And whatever you send at one end, it comes at other end. Now this is the magic. This is the magic, right? Because now this pipe consists of various technologies, means that you can interconnect them. And whatever you put at one end, it comes at other out. So you can have different applications which have their own semantics and syntax. Exactly same thing comes out. They create data, same thing comes out, and other end, you know, other applications can interpret that. Now because of this, because different technologies existed and this is a glue, you can connect any device to any other device in the network, right? Or you can yourself connect to any device which is on internet anywhere in the world, or any device can connect to another device. So there can be billions of connections now. And look at the power. We have studied the concept of more connection, more power the network has. Okay. So this is the beauty, that it can carry data of any application. It means that you can create millions of applications the way you want, as long as the application be coded in terms of zeros and ones. Absolutely. It means the output of application is terms of zeros and ones. That's it. And those zeros and ones will come out to other end and can be interpreted. Okay. So now you create, so voice were absolutely painful thing, just 20-25 years voice communication, right? Now once voice over IP came, okay, now internet communication has become free. I mean, see, now you can call your friends into anywhere in the world, say in US, for hours for free. Not only calling, you can do video communication for free, because you know nobody is charging you for end-to-end communication. You are being charged only for connectivity to internet, and from there's interconnection provided by others. So now you can run any kind of voice or IP application, like, you know, you can have Skype, or you can have you know, whatever, WhatsApp call, or whatever. This is Skype, I think, or Line, or whatever. Okay. And what technology we are using is kind of voice over IP today. Okay. Then we can have video communication over IP, and there are large number of applications are available now, right, which provide you almost free communication. Or you can have OT2 platform, over the top platform. What is over the top? You would have read these terms hundreds of times. Okay. It is nothing but streaming media service. Media is keyword. Second keyword is streaming. Streaming media services offered directly to viewers via internet. Okay, so now, for example, when we watch cable TV, uh, say Tata Sky, the signals come from Tata Sky servers to your home over their own network. Now we can get all that over internet bypassing their network. I can get it through Airtel channels provided by, say, Tata Sky. Okay, or for example, Netflix. Over internet, I can get all these channels on any device or any platform. Same video channel, I can see it on over iPad, I can see it over my laptop, I can see it over my phone, I can see it over uh, television even. Okay, so this is called OTT technology, right? And we have all these OTT technologies now. For example, Netflix, Hotstar, all these Google Play, etc., Zio Cinema, all these are part of OTT play. Okay, and most of us today are using OTT. Okay, and actual TV viewership is reducing because it's very rigid in nature, right? Who wants to say there are 200 channels, and who wants to watch video or movie only at particular time in the day when they? So now we have flexibility to demand any of these things, whenever we want. Say video on demand or movie on demand and something. So there's a great advantage of OTT platforms. So of course, your regular streaming services like when you have cricket match or whatever, these are all streamed, and then we can watch it. Okay. Any question on this one?
No, sir.
Okay. Any OTT application you are using? Anyone can tell me? OTT platform you are using?
So Netflix.
So
Netflix.
Prime, Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Ed Walaji.
Yeah. All these are provide you contents on demand, or even real time communication happening like Olympics or cricket match being viewed by us. Okay, but these technologies are quite complex, right? It's not as simple as that. Same media stream, if it's projected on your mobile phone versus on mobile phone versus on iPad versus on TV, requires different formats. Okay, so it's not as simple as that. You keep sending some data. Of course, internet's role is to send all the data that's coming from server, but interpretation is different. And of course, the coding from source could also be different. Okay, so again, it says that internet is being used to communicate this, which is essentially a pipe. Intelligence is at the end nodes only. Okay, and then something that has become extremely popular is mobile phone. And what is the relationship between mobile phone and internet? Most of us have started using mobile phones when internet was just beginning to begin and phones didn't have internet. So we used to call them feature phone. Okay, and I had opportunity of working as part of Nokia when Nokia was kind of feature phone and started moving towards smartphone. Uh, so okay, so basically mobile phones purpose right in the beginning was only voice communication, but with a flexibility, because in PST in phone you have to be at home to receive a phone call or make a phone call, wherein with mobile phone you could do this from anywhere. That was the first use. But actual mobile phone popularity started happening when it became more powerful. It means it could run a number of applications, and then application were supported on internet channel. So initially internet over phone happened because of internet. Some channels in mobile communication were used to provide internet communication into like GPRS, etc. And later on, then other technologies came, like Wi-Fi came, and we could connect to Wi-Fi. And your mobile phone then is a device that's making data communication over Wi-Fi. So it's basically a computer that makes a communication of internet communication with Wi-Fi and so on, right? So directly connect rather than cellular communication channel. But internet, when you go out of home and you are not on Wi-Fi, then your internet communication happens over cellular channels that are provided in 3G, 4G, and now 5G. Okay. So a popularity of handset became also one reason they became very powerful and very popular is because of use of internet over mobile phone, and both ways it worked, right? If internet wouldn't have been there, mobile phones wouldn't have become so popular, and had mobile communication not been there, internet wouldn't have reached to so many people. So it's a both way is happening. All right, so that's all about today's class. Any question? So what is takeaway from this class? Takeaway is very simple. Okay, internet has changed the world of communication, telecommunication, and it happened only in last 20 years, 15, 20 years. And you are possibly the luckiest generation because you don't have scarcity of information or knowledge. Anything in the world that's available to somebody in Bay Area is also available to you. Okay. It's extremely flexible technology and reaches almost everywhere in the world, and almost like 59 to 60% population is using internet today, and good number of them are using our mobile. Okay. This is an interconnect technology, so the power also came because it's not a basic technology that runs on a wire. It uses a carrier or layer 2 technology, but it interconnects various kinds of technology that existed for so many years. That's the reason it became very popular. Okay. It is a packet based technology. It means that we create a packet and send it over communication medium, and this packet, whatever packet I have sent, for example, from here and reaching you, is reaching surely over wireless because my laptop is connected over wireless to Wi-Fi modem, and then from Wi-Fi modem onwards is a fiber that's going on Airtel network, and from there how it is reaching to your place, I don't know. Maybe there are over different fiber or copper, or it could be over wireless. Okay, totally depends. But my packets remain the same, which is coming to you. So my packet passes over the different networks, but my packet has, my packet has a destination address, which is for any one of you. Of course, I mean, it's not as simple as, because we're not doing one-to-one communication, but it's going to Zoom server. From there, you are receiving it. So it means that from Zoom server, it's coming to you. Okay, but same packet is reaching you as it's reaching others, right? Because happening, broadcast is happening. So what I'm trying to say is that my packet may travel over various kind of networks, but reaches to other end. And so this gives flexibility. And I can put here, instead of my voice, I can also show you, video. So video will reach you. Okay, it's extremely flexible. Okay, some of you are connected over, say, your mobile, channels, right? And channels speed may be very low. Okay, or some may be over, ADSL technology. Your telephone line converted in digital line is called ADSL technology, and then again speed may be very low. Some may be connected to a fiber optical network. Speed may be fast, but it's still working. And that is the beauty of internet, that it works over very diverse technologies which are of which are very slow or very unreliable, or could be reliable and very fast, and so on, right? Okay, and this forms the core of digital transformation. Had internet not came into play, then digital revolution wouldn't have happened. Okay, the internet plays a key role in enabling digital transformation in the world today. That's the motivation for today's class. Ashish, you may have any point to add? You may have.
No, Ravi, I think it was a fairly informative class. It's a good quick introduction to the different data technologies, which should be very useful in understanding the internet. So I think it's good.
Okay, folks, so because there are mechanical and electrical engineering students in the class, so I have tried to cover this technology at very top level, so that anybody asks you what internet is in any interview or anywhere, then you can simply describe them. It's technology based on internet IP protocols, which provides packet communication, and packets have IP address and other fields. And this packet travels over the networks and reaches to other end, and it can contain any kind of information. So any kind of application can run on top. So that's very simple explanation of internet. Okay. All right, any question, please? Okay, folks, then thank you very much. You will get some assignment, I think, in 1 or 2 days time. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.